Hey, what's up, guys? Give me a little bit of couple of minutes, maybe. I just want to see if we get a couple more guys in the room. I'm not really expecting more than a couple more people, maybe. This is my first time actually live streaming, so it's more of a test just to see how things go. If you guys got any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them. Hey, what's up, Jay? Yeah, no, I'm at work, so I'm really not supposed to be doing this, but I've this is where I used to do all my videos, and then later I started doing some from home. But yeah, I work in a building. I'm an engineer for the court system in New York City. So yeah, that's where I'm at. It does look like a dungeon, I guess, but no, I'm at work. I'm here till 6 a.m. So that's why I always told you guys I got a very hectic work schedule, and that's why most of the videos I've ever posted are from work. So yeah, so I'm gonna try to maybe talk a little bit about yesterday's race, but if there's anything you guys want to know, it could be about anything. It doesn't have to be about NASCAR racing or video. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, this is my first time. I want to see more or less if we could get something going. Uh, but yeah, so I guess I could start off planning to try Heat 5 DLC. New. I didn't get Heat 5, and I've been back and forth about the Heat thing. Like, it's not a bad game, but there's something about the fact that Motorsport Games owns it, and I'm a little bit conflicted. Like, if I had more time to actually spend on video games, maybe I would get it. But my time is so restricted. Like, because of my work schedule, when I am home, when I do dedicate some time to like video games, usually I'm either doing some iRacing. I've been doing some NBA 2K, and I still play Red Dead Redemption 2 a lot. Outside of that, oh, and I do still play Max Payne 3 online, but that's I don't have a lot more time to dedicate, and I think that's made it easy for me to resist like picking up NASCAR Heat 5. Although I know it's a much better experience than Ignition, so I don't know. I just don't have the time for it. So it says Motorsport Games announced the F1 thing, but couldn't announce a Heat 5 release like they. Um, I think they. I saw somewhere on Twitter they did mention like they still have to release the latest uh, update, for the next gen cars. So I'm not really sure what's going on with it because I don't have the game. I'm not super attentive to it. So they did kind of mention it, but they're not really super focused on it. They're wasting time. They post some. They're always posting shit that, for me, it's not a good look, right? So like when they're constantly posting stupid things like BJ McLeod's paint scheme or a video I just did recently where they posted something about some F1 arcade in Europe. And to me it's more about optics, right? It's not that big a deal, but when you have so much negative publicity because of the release of Ignition and everything that happened, to me everything that you do publicly that has nothing to do with what are you doing about your NASCAR franchise or the next game that you said you're working on, anything that deviates from that to me is a bad look. It's just optics. It's not the end of the world. Who cares? They posted something about an F1 arcade, but it does matter, right? Because whenever you see anything that's attached to motorsport games, the thing most people care about is what's the deal with the next NASCAR game? Where are you? What are your plans for that? Give us something. Instead, they're posting dumb shit that, for me, who cares? So that's my thought on it. But yeah. So let's see. People predict the 27th, at least start of November. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that. I got to double check. That's something else I thought that I could do like a split screen where I could actually go on Twitter or even on YouTube and like post something while I'm talking so you guys could see what I'm talking about, like yesterday's race. There's a few things I want to talk about, and it would be nice if I could show it to you. I just haven't figured it out. I don't see an option for that. And as you guys already know, I'm very slow when it comes to stuff like this. This is not my wheelhouse. So, yeah, I'd like to do it. Maybe I could figure that out at some point, but this is my first time streaming. So, let me see. Been watching since 2015. Appreciate your truly genuine content. I appreciate you guys watching. I've been posting videos for 10 years, believe it or not. And when you look, I only have like 1,500 subscribers. That's not why I do it. I've never asked people to like or subscribe, but I do appreciate those of you who do. But yeah, posting videos for 10 straight years, and I still have a tiny channel. So yeah, I mean, I can't say that's success, but I'm just doing this because I care about the things I talk about. But I do appreciate it. So let's see. I'm a sucker for schemes. I guess paint schemes. Yeah, I don't support. You really have to put out a game that's really good for me to give my money for DLC paint schemes and things like that. I don't believe in supporting stuff like that unless you deliver a product that's worth it. And what we've seen with these NASCAR games going back 10 years now, all the way to Technics, they release a game that is missing basic features. They're like half-ass attempts. And then the first thing they do, instead of like fixing it, adding real shit to it, they're like, okay, let's just focus on DLC paint schemes. And when I see people spend money on that, I don't support that, right? I don't want to tell people what they can and can't do with their money, but if I'm being honest, I have to tell people I don't believe in it. That's just me. Let's see, OFCJ is on Twitter messing with his baseball hat right now. Who's Jay? Are you talking about oh my god, I'm sorry. Jay, somebody did tweet me earlier asking me about iRacing. Also, your GTA 6 video was really good. I like seeing you talk about different things. Yeah, you know what? I honestly would like to talk about other things, but um I don't want to, like, I'm trying to find a balance where I talk about things that I want to talk about, but also I want to make sure that because it's such a small channel, there's only a handful of people that actually care about my content. You know, I don't want to put content that no you guys don't care about. So it's tough for me to find that pocket. Um, I remember a couple of years ago I did ask the community if they would be interested in me talking about things like politics, social issues, things of that nature. And let me tell you, 99% of you guys were like, no, no, we don't want that. And I get it. I understand totally. And I've respected your wishes. I think I have for the most part. I rarely talk about things that delve into that area unless I find that it's absolutely necessary to like a NASCAR topic or something related to video games. But yeah, I'm still trying to find that pocket. But that's why I'm here today asking you guys if there's other things you want to hear about. Feel free to ask. Let's see. I hate having to pay like for like PS2 where you unlock all the stuff in the game. Yeah, the PlayStation 2 era is still the best era for video game development, in my opinion. The games obviously weren't as technically advanced as today, But in terms of innovation and developers who really tried to deliver a game that was fully fleshed out and was deep and immersive, yeah, you got to go back to the PlayStation 2 era. I could name a lot of games that I loved. I mean, just the Tomb Raider series. There was a series called Siphon Filter. I don't know if some of you guys are even old enough to remember that. I love those games. Games that are adventure driven. I love stealth, right? Games that are just about like just killing. I kind of lose interest after a while. I like games that make you think. Uh, Puzzle solving, adventure, just discovering things and sneaking around. I love anything that has to do with stealth. So games that implement that kind of stuff, I'm really big on. And I remember the PlayStation 2 era. There was so many games that developers released that to me it's just better products than what you see now and what people are pushing out. So J Pen, okay, J Pen, that's who you're talking about, the manager. All right, I'm gonna have to check later on Twitter and see if there's anything new. It's kind of hard to believe we still don't have a great NASCAR game after like three different developers. Yeah, 10 years. That's what I'm talking about. 10 fucking years, and these guys, they're doing the same thing over and over. They're delivering. Look at World of Outlaws, right? Now, I thought about picking it up, but like I said, my time is limited, and I don't want to go out and buy a game unless I'm going to actually spend time on it. The last game I just picked up was NBA 2K23. I'm spending a lot of time on it. I'm enjoying it. It's the career mode is really deep, and that's the kind of thing I like in video games. I don't really play people online in basketball, so I'm enjoying the offline career mode stuff. But I don't have time for World of Outlaws, and I'm not a dirt racing guy. But I have been watching videos from other people, What If Racing, and even though I'm not playing the game myself, I can tell it's a high quality product. It's very polished. So I'm excited about what iRacing and Monster Games are doing. It's really a Monster Games product, but I like what they're doing. Now, when you look at World of Outlaws as it is right now, I'm impressed because I'm looking at it as a first game product, right? This isn't like the second or third game in a series. This is their first World of Outlaws game. So, judging it on that, that's what I want to see with a NASCAR game. And we haven't gotten that, right? Like what we're seeing in World of Outlaws is pretty much NASCAR Heat 5, and it took 5 years to get there. If I hope you guys are following that, for a first game, that's what I want to see. Something like World of Outlaws. That's what I expect as a first game. And then build on that. And that's the difference. You Technics, they mealy mouthed it for 5 years. Never got there. Then 704 came, did the same thing. These guys come, buy them out, and it's always the same cycle. They come in, they deliver a bare bones product first time, and then they do baby steps. But while they do baby steps, this is why I hate DLC paint schemes, because every year they manage to focus a lot of their resources and effort on DLC paint schemes. So the time and the resources devoted to that could go to adding more to the game that you just released. But they don't want to do that. When you buy the game, that's just entry level shit. Then they want you to spend money on DLC paint schemes. And if you want real advancement in the game, buy the next game next year. So that's my problem with DLC. Like, once you deliver a game that's fully fleshed out and feels like a complete product, and you want to push out some DLC paint schemes, I'll be the first to buy. But these developers don't do that. And I can't support a bad business model. You guys know, if you've been following me for any length of time, I talk a lot about those type of things because I want the community to stop and maybe think about what they're doing with their money. Are these paint schemes making the game better for you? The answer to me is no. To me, I don't know how somebody can say, well, there's so much basic stuff missing from the game, uh, but these new paint schemes, it makes the game better. I don't get that. I don't get that connection. And you're supporting a bad business model because then these guys see that they get money from it, and then they say, well, they're giving us money, we're making our money here. Who cares? They're still paying us for DLC paint schemes even though they're unhappy with the main product. The only way you're going to send the message is to not buy those DLC paint schemes, and that's where I stand on it. So I'm going to get to iRacing in a little bit. Let's see. I was one of the people that said you should talk about politics, but majority rules. I appreciate that, and I get it. It's my channel. I should be able to say and run it the way I want, but I don't want to. I want to try to give people what they want that I'm still interested in. There's no point in me talking about things that the community just doesn't want. If you don't want it, I can't force that on people. So it's not the biggest deal to me in the world, right? So I think I've respected people's wishes for the most part. How about NASCAR diecast? Oh yeah, I collect diecasts. I don't know if you guys. I did post a video once. You could see my collection. Uh, yeah, I mean diecast and video games are not the same thing. It's not like motorsport games is making diecasts and selling them. If they did, I would be against buying from them. But yeah, I got my own collection of diecasts. I have a Jamie McMurray signed 42 car from many years ago. So yeah, diecasts are cool. I love it. I feel like if iRacing got the NASCAR license, they would make a decent game. I agree. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. But the only way iRacing and Monster Games are ever going to make a NASCAR game is if Motorsport Games completely collapses or lets go of the license. And NASCAR created this mess by giving these people a 10-year license. They didn't give it to them, they gave it to 704, which was dumb. It doesn't matter. Even if it's Rockstar, right? To me, the best developer ever. If NASCAR went to them and said, here's 10-year license to make NASCAR games, yeah, I trust Rockstar because they put their all into the games they make, but it's still a dumb decision. You don't give a 10-year license to anybody. And the world of video game development is very, very sketchy. You could look great this year, next year, all of a sudden, the company collapses for whatever reason. Video game development is just a very sketchy business. So, why would you commit a license deal to anybody, no matter who it is? So, it doesn't matter if it's a terrible developer or a good developer, you don't issue 10-year deals, much less deals that don't have an out clause. Now, at first, I thought there's no way NASCAR would issue a 10-year deal without an out clause somewhere. But it's pretty clear to me that that's exactly what they did because after the whole ignition debacle, right, we started hearing rumors that NASCAR wanted out. But those rumors just suddenly died and went away. Not another peep was ever heard about it. So what that tells me is they really don't have a leg to stand on. There is no out clause. They are stuck. So I don't know how many years are left on the deal. It may be 6 or 7. Whatever it is, it's really all in Motorsport Games' hands, whether we like it or not. So iRacing and Monster Games, they're just standing on the sidelines, I think, and they're just waiting to see what happens. I'm just hoping that, motorsport games at some point just collapses, because I really don't think they're going to turn things around. I don't want to say with 100% certainty, but you never know. But that's all we can hope for. So I don't want to fantasize about monster games yet, and iRacing, because of this mess that NASCAR left us with. And it just goes to show you, NASCAR, I mean, I hate bashing NASCAR, but they just every fucking week they do something, or they give you more and more reasons to just say these people don't know what they're doing. And anybody with half a brain should have known you don't issue a 10-year license deal to any game developer. A license deal for NASCAR is still a big deal, and you have to treat it as such. That's just me. All right, let's see. Somebody, yeah, I still run 2000. I looked into getting NASCAR Racing 2003, the sim for PC, and I'm not sure what the deal is. I don't know if there's like a special version that you have to download because it's not available. I think one time I checked, somebody was actually selling a disc on eBay. My PC does not even have a disk drive, so I'm not sure what the deal is. And then I said to myself, you know what? I don't know anything about modding. I'm barely able to navigate my way around, the internet, as you guys could see, on just even doing a live stream. So I didn't want to get myself into a hole that I couldn't get out. And I said, you know what? iRacing is already kind of based on that. Um, so I'm enjoying iRacing for the most part. I'm gonna talk a little bit about iRacing in a second, but yeah, so that's cool, man. I've seen a lot of videos on it. Still figuring out things about San Andreas to this day. Just found out that you were able to fast travel at the airports PS2. Yeah, man. And in my opinion, GTA San Andreas is still the best GTA. And I love all the GTA games. They're all unique in their own way. And I know a lot of people are partial to Vice City. Really great game. And it really nailed the nostalgia, right? Especially for older people like myself. If you were actually around in the 80s, where you were old enough to remember that era, they really nailed it. Uh, and I think that's why people love that game so much. But to me, San Andreas is just an overall better game. And even though GTA 4 and GTA 5 are superior in terms of uh, technical stuff like graphics and a lot of other areas, just the game, like remembering how much I enjoyed that game, it was to me a better game. Like that's to me is still the pinnacle of all the GTA games. San Andreas, it was the craziest. It had I think over 100 missions. Um, it was just really cool, and yeah, man, and that's a PS2 era game. So I just imagine the level of detail and the things they were able to put in that game. The map is way smaller than GTA 5, but it's a more interesting map. It actually has different cities within the map that all felt unique. They all felt different. You had Las Venturas. It felt like its own unique thing. And San Fierro, all the areas of the map, when you finally entered those areas for the first time, you felt like you're discovering a whole new area. And that is what I talk about when I mention innovation and the type of uh, thinking that went into those games. It's like, how can we make this map feel big and unique and have diverse areas where you just don't feel like everything's the same? They nailed it. And one of the things they did with that map that you realize with the the last version they came up with that turned out to be a really glitchy mess was the fog, right? Because that map had in the distance, everything was kind of faded and fogged out, and it made the map feel bigger than it really was. And when I remember playing San Andreas, the original San Andreas, many years ago, it just felt like such a big map. It felt so unique. I spent so many hours playing that. I enjoyed it. And then when you played the latest version, forget the bugs and glitches, but when they took out the fog, you realize how small the map really is, and it's almost like looking behind the curtain and you see how everything works, and it's like, ooh, I want to see how things work, but then when you really see how things work, it kind of takes away from the fantasy and everything that made that feeling of wonder and discovery. It's kind of gone. It's like, oh, this is how they do it. And it's like, now that you know, it's like, now if you play San Andreas after that, it's like, yeah, you know what, this map is not as big as I remembered it. Sometimes it's not good to know everything. So anyway, that's that. Right. Let's see. Hold on, I'm getting more comments than I was expecting, which is good. All right. Kind of want to get a new basketball game. I'm not amazing at them. I'm definitely better at open world games, especially racing games, but it's just relaxing. Okay. Well, look, if you're a basketball fan, I don't think you need to be a hardcore fan. What I like about NBA 2K23, right? Because to me, it's the best game that they've released. If you want to play for online multiplayer, I really can't recommend it because it is heavily based on coins and fucking microtransactions. And you go online, you're going to be playing against people that buy, spend money. They buy these coins, they buy the microtransactions, they level up their attributes to the point where you can't even be competitive. That's what's wrong with this business model. This is why I don't support microtransactions. And I have to say, as much as I love the game, I only play the career mode. So if you're like me and you want the presentation, if you want that feeling of actually being part of a career and building a character, and being able to scan your face in the game, I'm playing as myself and I could see myself in the game. That to me is cool stuff. I'm surprised more developers aren't doing that with video games. Imagine a NASCAR game where you could scan your face, and when you're playing the game, any in the garage area or pre-race, post-race, wherever, during an interview, something like that, you see yourself in the game, and it's really you. I love stuff like that, and that's why I like NBA 2K, and I'm enjoying it. And if you play the career mode, the things I've been talking about for 10 straight years that I want to see in a NASCAR game, you're going to see in NBA 2K23. The interviews, the pre-game, post-game, the working out, building up your character, the attributes, becoming better at shooting, dribbling, building up your core strength, your leaping ability, RPG elements, right? So hold on a second, guys. I want to. Okay, I didn't think I was plugged in. I want to make sure the battery doesn't die. But yeah. So if you more interested in career mode and you want to experience what a good career mode in a sports game is, I recommend it. You don't have to spend an extra dime, and that's what's good about the career mode. But if you really want to play people online, don't get it because it's microtransaction city, and I don't like that. So, all right, let's see. Loving the live stream. Will this be a thing moving forward? I don't know. This is for me. It's a test. I want to see how many people are engaged. As you guys already know, I've said it a million times. This is a very tiny channel. There's only a handful of people that follow it. So it really depends how I feel. Maybe once a week. Maybe, I work Mondays. This might fit right in. Monday, the next day after a race, I could talk about the race, which I will talk about. And then people can actually chime in, and maybe you have a question, or maybe I say something and maybe you might want to correct me on something. This is what's good about this. This is why I want to give this a try. I can't promise you guys that this is going to be a regular thing. I've seen other YouTubers live stream in groups, and that's something I would love to be a part of, right? Not me running a stream on my channel, but like I would love to be a part of somebody else's live stream where we can have that conversation about the racing or even the video game side of things. Um, I would love to do that where because I don't know if I know what I'm doing here, and to be able to do this and have a other YouTubers involved and stuff like that, I wouldn't know where to start. But that's something I've always kind of wanted to be a part of. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll do more of this. You guys let me know what you think of it, what positives, negatives. So I appreciate it. Have you ever tried 2003? No, I haven't. But like I said, I've seen countless videos. I thought about getting it, but from the research I've done, I don't know how to get it. I think you have to download a special version. You got and then modding. I don't know anything about modding. Some of it looks kind of complicated. And to me, like I said, I'm on iRacing already. I don't want to get something I can't dedicate time to. And right now, all my time, my free time, is dedicated to iRacing, Red Dead Redemption, uh, NBA 2K, and I still play Max Payne 3 online. So actually, buy, sell, die. Oh, you sell die. Oh, that's why your name is Die Hard, because you sell diecast. Oh, okay. And that's basically your day job, man. That's congratulations, because not a lot of people get to do something they like to do for a living. Most of us, we have to do jobs, work at places we don't want to be, want to work, but we have to, for whatever reason. I do love my job, so I'm not one of those people, but I would imagine having a job where you could really do what you love. Let's see. Let me scroll down. Committed because they now want the struggle that happened to find somebody new to make a NASCAR game when EA Technics stopped making games. Well, I'm not sure that's you know, NASCAR can handle having to find developers or reworking licensing deals if they did it in 3-year increments, right? 3 years is plenty of time to give any developer to show what they got, and then maybe it adds incentive to those guys to just say, we need to deliver something more so that when it's time to re up the deal, NASCAR likes what they see, the public likes what we're pushing out, and we can get another 3-year deal and keep this thing going. You just don't give 10-year deals to anybody. And, I understand the argument that they just don't want to deal with the struggle of, with these developers, but that's not really a struggle. This is NASCAR. Um, it's just not it's not smart to just issue 10-year deals to anybody. The first game by Technics after EA was terrible, and so was Heat Evolution. Yeah, Technics. I still to this day I see people that kind of say, "Oh, it was a pretty good." No, it wasn't. There was, my favorite part of the Technics franchise was the paint booth. I'll give them 100% credit. That paint booth was awesome, but the physics weren't terrible. The physics were actually okay. I don't think they were as good as some people make it out to be, but the AI was bad. Those games were so bad. That's when I started making these videos because I didn't start making videos because it's like, ooh, look, I want attention. I want to build a channel. I don't ask people to like or subscribe. So if I was looking to like get attention and get a bunch of subscribers, then I'm a big failure because I've been doing this for 10 years. So I started doing the videos because I was so upset as a consumer about the garbage we were getting. So I remember how bad those Utechnics games were, uh, and it sucks that things haven't really gotten better. I have to be fair. NASCAR Heat 4 was a decent game, and the AI really makes that game playable. So I don't want it. I'm not being fair if I say that Heat 4 and 5 are as bad as the stuff that came before it. That's not fair. And I have said in the past many times, those are actually good games. And that's what I want to see for a first game. Like NASCAR Heat 4 should have been that's your introduction to people. You deliver that as your first game, that is exciting. Then that's what gets people saying, wow, this is good. When you get it, when you have to wait for 4 or 5 years to finally get that, which is still wasn't great, still had a lot of issues and things missing. That's the thing. So, all right, let's see. The AI weren't hard at all. NASCAR 20. If you don't have good AI, you don't have a good product. I've been saying this for 10 years. And now you see with uh, NASCAR Ignition, right? What's there's two things that people do praise the game for. I've given them credit. The graphics and the physics. The physics are not bad. I don't think the physics are as great as people make it out to be, but the physics are good. So now that proves my point. So they gave people what a lot of people were saying, hey, it's about the physics. We want a game that looks better. Well, they gave that to you, but they gave you an atrocious AI. And now people ran back to NASCAR Heat 5. What's the difference between NASCAR Heat 5 and Ignition? What's the biggest difference? The AI. So to me, I'm vindicated. I was right all along. If you don't have a good AI, you don't have anything. That is your number one priority as a race game developer. Even if the car doesn't handle as, with the physics as good as you want, if it handles okay, but the AI is really good, you're going to have fun. Because one of the things people do complain about with the Heat series, even NASCAR Heat 5, the physics are not, they're still kind of arcadey. I call it more simcade than anything. I don't think they're as arcadey, but they're definitely not great physics or realistic or sim. But people like the game. They're getting enjoyment out of it. It's challenging. You feel a sense of accomplishment. Why? Because of the AI. And that's the hill I will always die on. If you don't have good AI, you have nothing. Motorsport Games has the license till 2029. Yeah, so that means we're almost in 2023. Okay, so it's 6 years. And that's kind of what I said, right? 6 or 7 years left. It's a long time. Now, I really don't see these guys lasting that long. Maybe they just, I don't know, something happens where they either give up the license or they just crash as a company. I don't know. That's all we can hope for right now. NASCAR hasn't said a peep. LOL, didn't realize that Brian France is the CEO of the investment firm that represents NASCAR and what? No. The CEO of the investment firm that represents NASCAR and motorsport games. You guys got to tell me more about this right here. I never heard of that. Where did you find that out? And I really got to look into that. That's a video. That's a video all on its own. I never heard this from Jareth. Where did you hear this? NASCAR is really bad with marketing these days, like the quality of merchandise in the 90s to mid 2000s. After Car of Tomorrow, NASCAR kind of lost the plot. Yeah, I think one from the point of Car of Tomorrow, NASCAR's made some bad decisions. And in all fairness, I know it's easy to bash them. I don't think I don't disagree with every decision they've ever made. Those are things I could talk about down the line, but I think sometimes you can make a good decision and just mess up the execution, and then people turn around and say, okay, like with the playoff system. I know 99% of you guys hate it. I'm one of the very few people that believe in the playoff system. My issue is how they executed it. They've made it worse since the beginning. The more people you add to the chase, it just waters it down. There's a lot of things they can do to fix it and make it better. While most people, I'm sure including most of you, you want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't but I just don't agree with that. Um, I think there are things you can fix and make work instead of saying, oh, that's a bad thing, get rid of it, go back to the way things used to be. I am not a fan of the old point system. I'm not. It's honestly harder to get NASCAR 2003 to run with disc than the no disc version. So there's a no disc version. I guess you have to download it. As for modding, you just download whatever mod you want and drop it in the series folder. Okay. I mean, it sounds easy, but somebody like me will screw that up. I love the 80s, and I wasn't even born yet. I guess you're talking about Vice City. Yeah, the 80s is great. I'm more partial to the 70s. Um, I love the 70s music, everything about the 70s. For me, I'm more partial to that. So, I mean, the 80s were great, but I'm more partial to the 70s. I feel NASCAR is getting better, just slow process. Yeah, some things are getting better, some things are not. They are all over the place. And honestly, if they added a little more horsepower to that car, I think that would help solve a lot of issues. Not solve it 100%, but you can see when they added, I think what were they 550 and they went up to 675. They bumped it up 125 horsepower. The mile and a half and the 2 mile tracks this year to me have been great. I think the racing's been great. Yeah, we had a few stinkers along the way, but I really think the negative shit is starting to outweigh the positive. People are forgetting some of the. And who would have thought that Auto Club and Michigan would provide great races? The Coke 600, great race. In the past few years, those races have been boring. So to me, there's a lot of really successful things about this new car. Again, some people are like, oh, this new car, it's terrible. Get rid of it. Go back to the old, whatever. This is what I'm talking about, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You don't do that. There's a lot of good things about this car. There's a lot of bad things about it. So fix it. And people are forgetting. This is the first year for this fucking car. Anybody who thinks this car was going to run the first year without issues is crazy. This is not how technology works. You got to work out the kinks, the bugs. The most important is obviously safety, but they've already released I was gonna do a video on this. If I remember, I'll try to do one. They did post a photo of the rear of the car and the kind of changes that they are going to make, and it makes sense to me that it would work. What you need is a car that the crumple zones actually crumple, and that absorbs the energy. Because if it's too stiff and the car is too strong in certain parts, well, the car's not going to absorb all the energy. It's going to transfer to the driver. This is why drivers are saying even some of these minor wrecks, they're getting hurt. So that's important. I do think NASCAR cares about safety. Give these guys a chance to fix a lot of these issues. So let's see. Somebody, you guys got to let me know more about Brian France, CEO of the investment firm that represents NASCAR and Motorsport Games. I want to know more about that. If I can remember, I'm going to do some research because I have not heard about that. And to me, that's a bombshell. And I do find out a lot of information from you guys. So I do want to thank you guys. A lot of times, you guys in the comment section or on Twitter, you will drop information to me, and then I go and check things out, and then I talk about it. So it's because of you guys that I do find out a lot of information. I'm grateful for that. NASCAR is really bad with marketing. Okay, let's see. I'm sorry. I don't want to read the same thing. I love the 80s. NASCAR is getting better, just slow process. All right. My three favorite GTAs, GTA 4, Vice City, San Andreas. GTA 5 is also close. All right. Hello, Giovanni, longtime viewer. One of the things I want to say that I think is a positive about having such a small channel. Most of you guys I recognize as soon as I see, your tag. I think people that have a big subscriber base, they can't really go through the comment section. They can't answer people's questions. They don't really know who's who. Honestly, 10 years of uploading videos and still just having a small base, I think the positive is I kind of feel like I know you guys. And of course, I don't know you personally, but just in this social media space, I recognize every name that I've seen so far, just about. So I think that's a good thing. And I always appreciate the loyalty you guys have shown me. Um, Even when I know sometimes you disagree with me on things, I can honestly say, even in the comment sections, I've rarely ever seen something that to me was disrespectful or just really stupid, right? So I like that. When you can disagree, but respectfully, and people still want or still respect your point of view of things, even when they disagree. To me, I wear that like a badge of honor. So for me, even when somebody disagrees with me, if I can feel like I got you to think about something different in a different way, where you could say, well, I don't really agree with that, but you know what? It's food for thought. It made me think about something I wasn't really thinking about that in that particular way. To me, that makes me feel a sense of accomplishment. Like, because you don't, I do think some people get caught up in trying to convince people or change their mind on something. You know, I'm not here to make you think or feel a certain way. It's just sort of uh, just an exercise, right? Just having these conversations. I think it's a good thing, and I do think that this small community here, I am proud to say, I think it's one of the more mature communities. I know it sounds like I'm kissing some ass. I'm not. I'm really being honest. Uh, yeah, and most people are very respectful. Volts, hey, Volts, someone else I see all the time. What is this live stuff? LOL. Yeah, what is this? I don't know, man. Like, I don't remember if it was almost a year ago. I tried to do a live stream. I just was fiddling around and it was a mess. I didn't know what I was doing. But I think YouTube did a good job streamlining everything where it's simple, and for some reason it just works. When I tried to do this the last time, it wouldn't work automatically. It I had to use a separate program, the one that I use to do videos, OBS, and I was following tutorials, how to do it, how to link this to YouTube and do a live stream. And then after a while, I just said, you know what? I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I lost patience and I didn't do it. But this time I said, for some reason yesterday, I said, let me just see if this works. And it just worked. So this is good because every once in a while, maybe I can do this if you guys are interested. Um, I don't want to promise anything because honestly, uh, I don't want to do something if it's just like 3 or 4 people watching. To me, it's not worth it. But if I get right now, I got to be honest, it's a nice little group. If it's just a handful of guys where it feels like I'm actually doing something, maybe I'll do more of it. GTA 4 had the best physics, absolutely. I forgot to make that point. GTA 4 and GTA 5 are very different. And the ragdoll physics, or they call it euphoria. Rockstar has its own ragdoll physics, and they call it euphoria. And they've changed it a lot through the years. But when GTA 4 came out, GTA 4 is an old game. I swear you could play that game, and it gave it such high replay value because you could play that game again and again and just free roam and cause mayhem, and you always felt like you might see something you never saw before because the animation it wasn't based on scripted animation. Like you shoot somebody, even with Red Dead Redemption, what you're seeing is really a more advanced version of Euphoria. I don't know if they still call it Euphoria, but in Red Dead Redemption 2, you can kill in so many ways, and you never know how a character is going to react, how they're going to fall, what you're going to see, how they're going to go tumbling. Uh, I love stuff like that. And it's little details like that that actually make GTA 4 in many ways better than GTA 5. GTA 5 did away with a lot of those physics. It's a lot stiffer to me. I will say, like, and even driving cars in GTA 4 had more weight. Like it felt like you were driving heavy vehicles. They were very uh, weighted to the ground. My only thing is, it also felt like on a negative thing, uh, like the shocks were broken, like everything was just on the spring. And if you see the cars, every time you turn, it sways way too, like no sway bars, and the shocks were completely broken. So the entire suspension, the entire car is riding on springs, and that's it. So the car is like really wavy, almost like you're on a boat. And I did not like. And I just felt like if they just tweaked it, stiffened up the suspension just a bit, just enough to make it feel like there was shocks that worked, it would have been amazing. But that game, yeah, the physics were better. I hope, and it does look like with GTA 6, they're heading back in that direction. And with everything they learned from Red Dead Redemption 2, man, I cannot tell you how excited I am to see what GTA 6 turns out to be. If you guys are interested in me talking more about GTA 6, let me know. I could do videos on that. Uh, so, yeah. Yeah, hopefully GTA 6 is a combination of all that. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Live Disco, what's up, y'all? Hello, Jake. Um, yeah, I guess a lot of you saw a notification and said, "What's this?" And then see, like, what the hell is this guy doing live? What's going on here? I'm only 21, but I remember my stepdad letting me play San Andreas when I was 8 or 9, and it blew my mind. And that's exactly why those you could say that about a lot of games in the PlayStation 2 era. That's why, to me, that was the golden age of game development. Like, in just Let me know if you guys even know anything about Siphon Filter, that series. The early Tomb Raider games. I mean, besides Grand Theft Auto, there were so many great games. The Warriors. I mean, anything by Rockstar. I'm a big Rockstar fan. You guys know that. But there were so many great games from that era, and they were really deep and immersive. So, yeah. Imagine at the age of 8 or 9 playing San Andreas. That is something that stays with you. Have you ever played Saints Row 2? Yes, I did. That's the last Saints Row game that I actually enjoyed. Saints Row took a hard left turn with Saints Row 3, and I just don't like that series. I did buy and play Saints Row 3, and I just didn't like the feel of it. It just went way too far over the top. It was crazy. And imagine saying that about a game like Saints Row. It wasn't like hyper realistic, but it still felt grounded. It's after that, I don't know what happened. That series is just, I don't know if they don't know what they're doing. They started introducing aliens and all kinds of crazy shit. And yeah, and it's, what's weird? I love Grand Theft Auto 5. I really do, but there's a lot about that game I don't like, and it's really mostly with the online multiplayer. It feels like Saints Row has gone more and more and more trying to be, well, no, they originally tried to be like Grand Theft Auto, and now Grand Theft Auto just looks more like Saints Row. And I'm talking about the crazy weapons. There's just over the top. There's too many weapons, too much crazy shit, all these flying vehicles. That oppressor is the worst thing they ever added to that. They really need to nerf everything down. Um, it doesn't make Grand Theft Auto Online. It makes it just like there are times where it's too much. But I did spend most of my time racing, which was fun. But I'm hoping that with Grand Theft Auto 6, they kind of detune it just a little bit. It doesn't, it on paper it sounds great that you have all these crazy futuristic vehicles and weapons. It's not. It just takes away from a lot of what used to make Grand Theft Auto special. So I love Grand Theft Auto 5, but there are some negatives to it. All right. So I don't even watch the sport. I just like playing a few games here and there, offline, something different. Okay, I guess you're talking about the NBA, basketball. Yeah, if you're not a real basketball fan, I'm not going to recommend it to somebody, but I just think it's a great representation of how to do a sports game. The offline career mode. Imagine the NASCAR game we would have if they built off of Thunder 4. Yeah, we've been saying this shit for years. That you don't have to reinvent the wheel. When something works, you build off of that. Monday disco drive session. Yep, that's what it is. I really have no I mean when I came in I thought I would just go into talking about the race yesterday. But yeah, I'm all, I do tend to talk a lot, and sometimes I kind of veer off course for a little bit, and then okay, here's the point I was originally making, and then I end up finding my way back. But you guys know that by now, and if that was too much for you guys, I'm sure you guys would have left years ago. If you had to choose between working for a NASCAR or working on a new NASCAR game, which would you pick? Wow, that's a good question. The first thing I'm going to say is the same for both, which is it depends on who's running NASCAR and who's running NASCAR game development. As we speak right now, they're both kind of messed up. So I don't know if I'd want to work for either one of them. Now, if you put me in a situation where I'm working with people that are actually open to, how do I put this? things that make more sense where I might have some influence, I think I would go with the video game development. Because I think really with NASCAR, there's a few things I have ideas for that I would implement that I think, I don't know if that's what you're asking. I think you just, would I enjoy the job of working somewhere within NASCAR? I don't know. I'm not sure because a lot of times something looks good from the outside. And then when you're actually there, it's like, this shit's not fun. It's not what you thought it would be. Video game development sounds like fun, but it could be tedious. I could see that. And I've seen and heard so many stories. I don't know. Would I enjoy working for a video game developer, working on a NASCAR game? I don't know. Like I said, it depends. Like, what would my role be? If my job was director of video game development and the higher ups are telling me, look, you tell us what you need. You're directing this thing. If you need to hire certain people, if you need this, you need that, we'll make that happen. But you dictate what you want. Definitely, that's what I would do because I feel like in my mind I have good ideas, and I really think that the type of NASCAR game that I would push to develop, I really do think most of you guys would love it. And, you know, so I think I'd veer towards that. NASCAR, I don't know what kind of job is there within NASCAR that would enjoy. I don't know the answer to that. Um, so yeah, it's kind of a weird. I don't know. All right, opinion. Uh, a one race finale in NASCAR is supposed to be exciting, but actually a three race round is more interesting, where people have deficits they need to make up, like what will happen next. I think I know what you're referring to, like with other sports, um, like baseball or basketball. You don't decide like a championship with one game. It's like a 7 game series. So even if you lose 1 or 2 games, you still have a chance, right? It's the best of 7. It's the first one to win 4, and that makes it more fair. And and that's what it sounds like this is, and I totally agree. Um, but I do think a lot of what's wrong with the playoff system, one, the biggest thing is they added too many fucking people. It's people in the playoffs that don't belong there. I honestly don't think anybody above 10th place should be there. You know, if you came in 11th or 12th, then you just didn't have a good enough season to deserve to run for a championship. That's the way I look at it. So you have adding so many people that to me watered it down. It took away a lot of the meaning, right? The prestige of making it. I don't know if you guys remember when they first started with the playoff, and I'm not saying that the original playoff system was perfect. I'm not saying that, but it was better than this. And I do remember one thing: the people that made it, they felt prestige. It was prestigious. Not everything was a big deal. Remember that photo? You had all 10 drivers together at the start of the chase. You know, 10's a good a number, right? Honestly, I would experiment. I would knock it down to 8. Call it the Great 8 and start the playoffs that way. And I think you would even be able to pare it down to even more deserving drivers. So that's the first thing I would do. I would reduce it, and I would kind of restructure the point system where it does reward more for consistency. This also get rid of winning you're in. I don't care if you won a race. If you're not having a good enough season to make the playoffs, you don't get in. There's a lot of people that get in the playoffs. They have one win, and the rest of the year they're like running 20th or 20 something in the standings. You shouldn't be in the playoffs, no matter who it is. So I would reduce it maybe to 8 drivers. I would structure the point system to reward consistency, And I would reward people who actually win more points. So for those of you who are thinking, yeah, but what about points? Like what about wins? Wins is the most important thing. You still want people to go for wins. Well, if you reward people more points for wins, all right, that makes winning more valuable without making it a joke like, oh, you won, but you fucking finished, dead last in two races and whatever, but you still make it to the next round. You know, that's you can restructure it to make the playoffs work. So I don't know if that was the exact question, but or at least the opinion. But I get what you're saying. A three race round is more interesting. Yeah. To be honest, the AI in like NASCAR 15 was kind of fun, just of how insane they were. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm sorry, man. I fucking hate those Eutechnics games with a passion. I just don't remember enjoying them at all. Like I had fun. I had fun making paint schemes. Let me see if somebody. I'm sorry. All right, that's another. All right, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I spent a lot of time making paint schemes. I had some fun with that, but I did not enjoy racing that game. It was awful. Okay. It is true. Brian France created it after getting let go from NASCAR and is now investing in motorsport games and etc. I really do have to look into this Brian France motorsport games connection. I'm shocked that I didn't hear about this earlier, but that to me is a big deal and it says a lot about, birds of a feather flock together. And when you got people like Brian France and these people, I'm not surprised. Like I am surprised that I didn't know about this, but it's like it makes kind of sense. That's crazy. That's an insane story. And how many people knew about this? I'm curious to know. Am I the only one who didn't know about this? Hi, Disco. Hope you're doing well. Thank you very much. I'm doing fine. I feel fine. Um, do you still have that green Challenger? No. I just sold it in June. And here's a quick backstory. Um, I've had muscle cars my entire life since I was 20. I lost count of how many cars I've had. I've worked on cars. I built cars, and I bought new cars. I bought a 20. I remember in 2004 I bought the new GTO that came out. But I've always been a Mopar man. That 2015 Challenger was my favorite car I've ever owned. It's the best car I've ever owned. I loved it. But living in New York City, you cannot enjoy a car like that. You just don't. You're always in traffic. You never know. For those of you who don't know, right now, New York, this is the worst I've ever seen it. And I remember the 80s during the crack epidemic. New York City was pretty fucking bad. And right now, it almost feels worse. The violence, the crime rate, everything is so out of control. It just feels like there's lawlessness. And in respect to driving on the road, it's a horrible experience. Not only is there traffic everywhere, but there is a siege of people on bikes and scooters and mopeds all over the streets. They go through stop signs, red lights, they drive down the wrong way, they speed on sidewalks, they swerve in and out of traffic. So you are constantly driving with eyes in the back of your head because you never know when somebody's gonna, you got to be so careful. I was not enjoying driving the car, and I knew it was a matter of time before some idiot would smash into my car. And I'm like, you know what? The car was still in mint condition, low mileage. I took good care of it. And I said, if I could get a good amount of money for it, I'm going to sell it. And as much as it pained me to sell it, I don't regret it because I was not enjoying the car. Um, I used to drag race, for those of you who don't know, at Englishtown in New Jersey. And for years, I used to go out there. I used to, drag race. I got some enjoyment from the cars that I worked on. And about 5 or 6 years ago, I don't want to be too exact with that number. I forgot, but it feels like it was a 5 or 6 years ago. Englishtown Raceway uh, closed down, and so there's only two other drag race tracks, but they're also hour and a half away from where I live. It's just not worth it. So I wasn't getting any use out of the car. I sold it. I got 32,000 for it for a car that was from 2015. Uh, Not bad. So I got rid of it. I got a decent amount of money for it, and I'm not paying insurance on it. I'm not driving around worried about one of these idiots on a scooter smashing into it. I know already several people that have had people smash into them, and these people on the streets, they half of them are carrying guns. If you even look at them the wrong way, you might get shot. Things are rough here in New York. Okay, and I've been here all my life. I cannot wait to retire. I'm retiring in about 4 years, and I'm already looking at houses uh, down south. I really don't know where to go. I don't know anything about the south. Like I've gone there, but in very short periods. I've gone to NASCAR races. I've been to South Carolina. I have a stepson that lives there um, in South Carolina. So I like what I saw when I went there. Anything is an improvement because these big cities, it's just, man, let me tell you, I've been here all my life, so I'm kind of used to it. But now I'm 53 years old. No, I'm 52. I'll be 53 in April. But I'm retiring in 4 years, and I don't want to be here anymore. It's a cesspool. It's just, I hate just being out anywhere. So I sold the car. Again, I got in off into a tangent, but yeah, I can't wait. Once I retire in about 4 years, I just want to buy a house somewhere. I'm looking maybe North Carolina, South Carolina. My mind is not made up. It's still a few years away. I'll sell my house here. I'll buy a house over there. I just want to go somewhere where it's a less people. Anywhere is going to have less people. Um, a slightly slower pace. I don't want to live in the middle of nowhere either. But yeah, I'm still figuring that out. But yeah, I sold the car, so I'm just driving the Subaru Forester, which gets me where I need to go. I'm only paying insurance on one car. It's not smart to have a car that you're not enjoying, paying insurance, paying premium gas. So, yeah, there's that. Thoughts on real rad men in motorsport games? What's the chat think? Real rad men in motorsport games. I think I've made myself clear on what I think. I want to say something because I don't want people to misunderstand me. I criticized him specifically on certain things. I still kind of feel like he does go out of his way to help motorsport games. It's weird. Like he'll do videos. It doesn't look like he's really enjoying the game, but he's still putting content out there. You can tell when somebody is doing something for other reasons. Again, I know I'm taking a risk just assuming things, right? I can't read his mind, but come on. Um, I still see him say things or post videos that make me scratch my head. That being said, I'm not. I don't want to. I don't want to bash the guy every time he puts out a video that you know is something I don't believe in, because I feel like I made myself clear. I put out a video where I feel like I said what I wanted to say. I think the community, for the most part, knows what's going on, and I don't see a need in just I don't want to go there. Something is just telling me leave it alone. I don't want to do that. I still think that because of how many people follow him, he has a lot of influence in the community. It's the main reason why I did criticize him. And yeah, I will still post something critical online or something like that. But for me, I don't want to do an entire video on him. Uh, yeah, I'm not. I don't know what to say. It's like, yeah, he still does things that make me scratch my head, and that's pretty much it. I don't want to nitpick. I don't want to bash the guy, and I don't know. Who knows? I mean, if he does something in the future that's to me egregious enough where I have to do another video, I will do it. But at the moment, I just kind of want to leave it alone. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Hey, Disco, I just tuned in. What's the main subject? There is no main subject. I'm just kind of shooting the shit with people, reading some of your questions. I did plan to talk a little about yesterday's race. And I did want, before I forget, um, somebody on Twitter did post a question. I forgot who it was. I think it's Beach Move. I just know him by his handle. I've raced him a couple times on iRacing. He did ask me um, what my thoughts were on iRacing now that I spent some time on it, uh, getting away from the consoles and spending time on iRacing. What are my pros and cons about it? So before I forget, I do want to answer that in case you're watching. I did not forget. So iRacing, it's a mixed bag. When it's good, it's really good. I really do enjoy it. When it's bad, it's really bad. It's frustrating. But I do want to say the reason for those frustrations are mostly not on iRacing, it's other people. And that's just part of the world of multiplayer online gaming. Doesn't matter if it's online racing or just online multiplayer on fucking Grand Theft Auto. When you're dealing with other people, your experience is almost solely dependent on the people that you're having that experience with. So if you get into a good race with a good bunch of people who actually try to be clean, it's great. Sometimes you get in a room and you got a couple of people that just dive bomb, have no respect, and just race like idiots. It can ruin your race. And that's pretty much it. So I want to make clear it's not real. That's not a criticism on iRacing. All they can do is try to run the server as best as they can, which they do a good job. I really have very few issues in terms of latency or how smooth everything runs. And I do enjoy it. I really do. And like I said, if you get in a race with some idiots, it's going to be a bad experience. So it's a mixed bag. Now, my big criticism for iRacing is related to the cost. Um, it is expensive. And even when you're having a blast, it's pretty hard to justify the cost. And it's not about whether you can afford something or not. Just because you can afford something doesn't make it a good purchase, right? So you got a monthly subscription fee, which is fine. But iRacing also charges for cars and tracks. And I'm sorry, when you add up the cars, the tracks, the online subscription, it's a lot of money. And if you're somebody like me and you're here for NASCAR, you're going to want all the NASCAR tracks. You want to get it, you got to get the cars. It adds up, man. And you will be shocked at how much everything costs. A lot of these tracks are like 11 bucks a piece. Same for the cars. Yeah, they give away tracks and cars when you first join. Most of the stuff you get free when you join, you never use. I have a bunch of cars and tracks that I've never used, have no interest in using, because I am a stock car oval track guy. I'm not here for open wheel. I'm not here for some of these circuits. Great racetracks. I get it why people like them, but it's not for me. I'm here for the NASCAR stuff. So when you get that stuff for free, you don't really use it. And when you buy all this stuff, it adds up. It adds up. It's a lot of money. So I don't think it's worth the money. I still think it's a good service. I still enjoy it. I don't regret joining, especially since I don't really have any other option for NASCAR and racing. And, I have a motion simulator. I'm enjoying that. So I'm not telling you, I am enjoying it. But the money, they double dip. It's a double dip business model, which I am just amazed that they can get away with that. And what do I mean by a double dip business model? Really simple. You pay for a subscription service, and any other subscription service of any kind that I know, you pay a monthly fee for something. Everything that comes with that service is part of it. You don't pay extra. Like Netflix, you pay a monthly fee. Whatever is on Netflix is free to well, not free to watch. You're paying a monthly fee. Imagine they also charge for specific movies. That would be crazy, right? People would say, "What the fuck? I'm paying a monthly fee and you want me to pay extra for specific movies?" No. But they're getting away with it. You're paying a monthly fee, but every time there's a track or a new car or something you need, you got to pay. And it's not cheap. It's not $2, $3. It's fucking 11, 12 bucks. It's a lot of money. And to me, if you're charging a monthly fee, that's it. And don't tell me that you can't run iRacing just off monthly subscriptions. I mean, look, I get it. There is money you have to spend to maintain and run something like iRacing and to work on updates and stuff like that. I get it. But when you look at how many people are part of iRacing and all of those people are paying a monthly fee, don't tell me that's not enough money. How many people actually are part of the iRacing workforce? I'm sorry. You're not going to convince me that on top of that, you have to sell cars and tracks and each one for like 11, 12, sometimes $13. Too much money. So that's pretty much pros and cons. It is great. When it's good, man. So I am enjoying it. Um, I've been on iRacing for 3 years now, and I just last week won my third race. So it's tough. It's not easy. It's a humbling experience, but for me, I don't mind. Like if 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 I can get a top 10 in a decent lobby, for me, that's a small victory. I can enjoy that. I just want a clean race where there aren't knuckleheads wrecking into me, wrecking in front of me. Uh, if it's a clean room and I can run to the end, if I can get a top 10, I enjoy myself. If I'm in it just to win, I would have pulled all my hair out by now because it's hard. Like I said, 3 years on iRacing and I got 3 wins. So it's tough. So, and I'm not that good at it. I try, but you think you're good at something and then you go on iRacing and you find out people are a half a second quicker than you and you think you're getting everything the car has in it, it's frustrating. But I do enjoy it. So that is my answer to B Schmoove. I hope he got the response that. All right, let's see what else do we have here. In Radman's a legit fantastic race vid. That's what I'm talking about. A few days ago, so many bugs were in that race, even more than normal. Ha ha. Yeah, that's what I mean. He still posts things that are suspect. You post. I saw that video, and it says a legit fantastic race, and you go watch that race, and it's garbage. It's a garbage race. But am I gonna do a video just to bash him for that? I feel like I said what I needed to say. But you guys are smart enough to see that. That's exactly what I'm talking about. He still does post shit like that. Yeah, a legit fantastic race. I would believe me. I was just thinking to myself, what the fuck, man? This guy won't stop. I would check out a vid on downloading 2003. Basically, you download. Yeah, I have checked out how to videos on NASCAR Racing 2003. But like I said, I don't have a lot of time, right? My work schedule is very hectic. So I don't have a lot of time for myself for gaming. The little bit of time I have, iRacing, Red Dead Redemption 2. Right now I'm on NBA 2K23 and I still play Max Payne 3 online multiplayer. That's pretty much it. I don't I just don't have time to then all right get involved with NASCAR Racing 2003. Um if I had more time for myself, maybe I would, but I just don't. So, and you know, iRacing right now is the only thing that is allowing me to get the full use of my motion simulator. So, my racing time is really on iRacing. So, I appreciate it though. And then you can run the game, download new tracks and mods. That one kid, what's up? How you doing? Thank you for showing up. I am happy for the new God of War game. I don't know much about God of War from what I've seen and everything I've heard. That is one of the modern day masterpiece type games, right? So I don't know why I never gravitated to like wanting to get that game. Um, I don't know. I don't know why. I'm sure I would probably enjoy it. There are a couple of type of games that never caught my interest. Right, games, medieval type games. Um, never. I don't like medieval times. Even movies, right, that have to do with medieval stuff, never really called my attention. I don't know why. Just don't get my interest. And what else was I gonna say? Well, God of War, things like that. I don't know, man. It's not something that calls me. One thing, all right, I'll talk about this later. I would love RDR GTA game that bridges the two franchises. In my thoughts, GTA set in the 20s and 30s with the cities and states of RDR. I would love to see that, but how could you make that work? I'm sure they probably could, but I don't know. Sorry. The 20s and 30s, there weren't any more cowboys, were there? Like the West was dead by the 1890s, I think. So I don't know how you could blend. I guess maybe if you're saying the places of Red Dead Redemption, but in the 20s. So even though it wouldn't be a Western, technically, it would be just a modern day, turn of the century environment. That does sound interesting. Speaking of Rockstar games and stuff, there is something I wanted to see, and to me is one of the big disappointments. Rockstar announced a game many years ago, going back to the PS3, called Agent. That's a game I wanted so much to come out, and they just never heard from it again. They just, I guess, whatever stage of development it was in, they just stopped for whatever reason. That game was based on espionage in the 1980s, right? So if you guys remember that during the 80s, we were involved in the Cold War with Russia, right? It was the communists at the time, CCCP, and imagine a game set in that time and about espionage. And I love games about stealth. I love games that are adventure driven. Um, I just knew. I said, whatever this game turns out to be, I know I'm gonna love. And unfortunately, that game never came out. And I just that's the type of game I gravitate to. With RDR2 characters adjusting to more modernized uh, Western Southern cities. Thoughts? Okay, yeah, yeah. I'm not sure. The 20s and 30s, I think by then it was more. We were more in the industrial age, the turn of the century. I can't say with 100% certainty. I'm not sure you would have those type of characters like the cowboy, the Wild West. That was over by then. So I don't know, man. All right. So does Real Redman get perk for promoting motorsport games? Well, we've seen perks. You know, you think it's a coincidence that he got flown out or got a fucking full weekend last year at Phoenix with the red carpet treatment and he was introduced to Jeff Gordon? Those are perks. Free meals. You get to hang out with the CEO of Motorsport Games, multi-millionaire several times over, cracking jokes, hanging out, eating, drinking, partying, with them making you feel like you're on the inside. Who doesn't want to be on the inside and feel that makes you feel special? Those are perks. Those are perks. Then it doesn't have to be like an envelope with cash in it, even though you never fucking know. He probably got other perks. But yeah, there's no reason why. I mean, I've never seen him do the level of shilling that he has for these people. He's always been more critical. And all of a sudden with these guys, it's like, oh, I'm a grown up now. Um, yeah, I don't I'm mature now. I don't want to bash these guys. Who's buying that? But on GTA 4, the sense of speed was great. You felt the momentum. GTA 5 felt like the cars were on rails. That's what I was talking about before. Like the GTA 4 cars had weight to them. And if you gave it too much gas or you took a corner too tight, it felt like the grip would go. It just felt more realistic. And like I said, GTA 5 is more on rails. Um, and like I said, the only negative for the physics of the driving on GTA 4 for me was that it felt like the shocks were broken on every car. And it just was too boaty and sway. No cars are like that unless the shocks are busted completely. So if they would have just tightened up the suspension a little bit, stiffened up just a little bit, it would have been perfect. But I still prefer GTA 4 driving physics over GTA 5. And I mean, who doesn't love to crash into a wall at full speed and having Nico fly through the windshield screaming? That's amazing shit. I love details like that, and that never gets old. Okay. Don't forget Bully. I played Bully. I mean, Rockstar never missed, and for me, I don't remember a game they made I didn't like. Um, they did make some quirky games in the PS2 era, There were a couple of, they weren't all hits, but I'm talking about from when after GTA 3, almost everything they did was amazing. The Warriors is still to me one of the best games I ever played. I fucking love that game. I would love for them to redo that game, but in an open world setting with modern day graphics on a PS5. Oh my god. I could only imagine. I fucking love that movie. I love everything about the that game was I had so much fun on that game. I enjoyed the Warriors way more than I enjoyed Bully. And I did enjoy Bully a lot. The reboot is even worse. Which reboot? Are you talking about San Andreas? I guess. It's 2017 was the last year I was really into GTA Online. I haven't played GTA Online in over 2 years. So, yeah. Once Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, I've never played GTA 5 again. And sometimes I think about jumping back into it because there is a lot of fun to be had. I don't want people to think I don't like GTA 5. I do. I'm just saying that it's not the best in the franchise. I enjoyed San Andreas the most. I have no idea why. In my opinion, he feels indebted to them. Okay, you're still talking about Radman. They got to meet Jeff Gordon, took him out to dinner. Well, when people are nice to you, and when I talked about Radman in that video I did on him, what I was telling people is that just like in the world of politics, nobody just comes to you and says, I want you to do this, this, and that for me, and here I'm giving you money. Usually, I'm sure that does happen, but more often than not, what what they do is they wine you, they dine you, they give you the VIP treatment, they do things that are beneficial to you as a politician, so that you do feel indebted to them because what do you do when they pick up a phone after you won and you're sitting in office and somebody calls you and say, "Hey, it's me. Hey, how you doing? How's the wife and kids? Hey, how's everything worked out great for you? I'm so glad. You know, that money that I invested in your campaign. I'm so happy everything worked out. By the way, now that I got you on the phone, I need some help. I'm trying to get approval for a zoning law, or I want to build a 10-story building in on Lexington Avenue and 56th Street. But the zoning laws there will not allow me to build above 4 stories. Um, you think you could make a phone call, see what you can do? What do you think this politician is going to do? He's not going to tell you, I'm not doing that for you. He's going to say, let me see what I can do. Because he's indebted to you. He knows that when reelection time comes, he can count on you to support him financially on his campaign. You want to keep that relationship going because what happens when you're out of office? You might need a job someday. All these politicians, when they leave office or when they're voted out, they end up getting hundreds of thousands of dollars for what? A speaking engagement at a fucking library or a school? You really think they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars for a fucking 20-minute speech at a school or a library? Get fucking real. This is how you scratch my back, I scratch yours. So when these video game developers take you out, wine you, dine you, introduce you to celebrities, give you the VIP treatment, it's no different than politics. That's why he feels indebted to them. And that's what we know. What we don't know, who knows? Maybe he did get an envelope. Maybe he is getting other perks we don't know about. I don't know. I don't bring that up because it's not fair. I don't have proof of that. But I can tell you, I saw him gaga over Jeff Gordon and gaga over DK, Dimitri Kosko, and how much of a down to earth, funny jokester he is, and how much fun he had having dinner and hanging out with him all weekend. That's a pretty big deal to most people. And he is a bit younger than me, so I get it. Maybe he's not as astute to understand what's really happening. He doesn't understand he's being manipulated. But these people aren't doing all this out of the kindness of their heart. They're doing it because you have a large uh, base of subscribers. And they know that if we can get him on our side, he has all these followers. This helps us. This is a smart strategy by Motorsport Games. But he is being manipulated. He could tell you all he wants that, oh, they assured me that I could say whatever I want. You shouldn't have to say that to somebody. I don't want to repeat all the shit I said on that video that I made already, but go check it out. Everything I said there stands. So I agree with the 3-race championship finale if playoffs are kept. Yeah, like I said, for me, it's more about restructuring the point system so that it rewards consistency. And if you have a bad race, that doesn't knock you out automatically, right? Um, you can do a lot of things to fix the playoff system without saying, oh, get rid of it. Go back to the old point system. I know that for most people, even most of you guys, that's what you want to happen. I still think that it's not about the fact that there is a playoff system. It's that NASCAR doesn't know how to run it, has actually made it worse. It was prestigious. You only had 10 guys in the beginning, and they just fucking added more people. Then they added gimmicks like winning you're in. Don't matter if you're running 24th in the points. If you won a race, you're in the playoffs. That's, to me, you don't deserve to be running for a championship with a season like that. Okay, agree 100%. Especially if they win in rain race or staying out on on old tires. I mean, even if you win a race, even if it's legit, even if you dominated that race, that to me is still there's that automatic winning you're in the playoffs. I don't care. I don't want that. I don't, you know, NASCAR needs really to restructure shit. I'm gonna do a video dedicated to some of the things I want NASCAR to do. Maybe once the season's over. Let me know if you guys want that. Do you believe Brian France set up Mayfield? Um, that's an interesting that whole thing that it's I don't know, man. Sometimes you think you have all the information and you don't. I don't know. I do think that there was a lot of shady shit that went on. Ray Evernham, his relationship with Aaron Crocker, uh, the way he was running things. I could see a lot of shady shit going on. I could see, Mayfield, he was being outspoken. He said a lot of things publicly that embarrassed Ray Evernham. Um, I don't know, man. And nobody trusts Brian France. So anything's possible. But I can't honestly say what I believe. You know, I actually liked Jeremy Mayfield. I thought he had a lot of talent. I rooted for him. Um, but I think he had some issues off track, you know. I don't want to I don't want to vilify anybody for making mistakes. So I just don't know. I don't know enough. I have followed that story. I've seen documentaries about it. And the truth is, who do you trust? Who, who's telling the truth? It's possible both of them are dishonest. A lot of times you get people that they become enemies for whatever reason. And then Who really knows, right? Only Jeremy Mayfield and people in NASCAR, Brian France being one of them, know the truth. Everyone else is speculating. I'm not opposed to speculating, but I don't feel like in this case, I don't know enough to speculate. I just really don't know. But I like Jeremy Mayfield a lot. Excuse me. Holy cow, Disco Inferno live stream. I bet a lot of people are like, what the hell? My uncle only lives 10 minutes from Englishtown. Yeah, so, you know, yeah, Englishtown was a big time drag raceway. I used to go there for car meets. Um, when I was building muscle cars, I would go there at the swap meets. I would pick up all kinds of stuff for my car. Um, yeah, man, I built a lot of cars through the years. I used to drag race at Englishtown. I had a lot of fun, man. But you know what? It's those days are over. Englishtown is gone. Um, I do think the community, and ask your uncle. I'm sure he knows. I remember hearing that the people in the community for years they were trying to get that racetrack shut down because more and more people were moving into that community and it was growing. And I think a lot of people did not like because even a few miles away, you can hear the cars. That's how loud it got there. Um, Especially funny cars when they were racing there. So I could imagine if you lived really close by that you had to hear that all day, all weekend. Plus, Wednesday nights they had Run What You Brung, test and tune night, which was actually the best nights to go. Like I went one time on a weekend and I got one run down the drag strip and I was there all day because there's so many people on a weekend and you had about 6 or 7 or 8 lanes. And depending on what kind of times you were running, there was a specific lane for you, right? So I was always running in the 12-second bracket. So you can't just go in whatever lane, right? Then there's a 9-second lane, 10-second lane. I know if you ran under 12 seconds, you needed a roll cage, 11.99 or quicker. You had to have a roll cage in the car. So I never had my cars built or set up. I just wanted a good street car that I could drive everywhere. Um, I didn't have a car that you needed to put on a trailer. I didn't care. To me, 12 and a half seconds, fast enough for a daily driver. And you didn't have to build a roll cage for it. So, but yeah, ask your uncle. If he lives that close to Englishtown, I bet he knows. I think the community, they just bitched and moaned for years and years. And maybe the lease for the land, maybe that ran out and then they just didn't renew the lease and they just fucking shut down. Don't know the full story, but what do you think of the New York drill rap going over there? Like Pop Smoke, kind of interested. I know you like jazz more. I don't follow drill rap, right? I like hip hop, but I'm more of an old school hip hop, 90s. Like to me, that's the golden age of hip hop. I don't follow hip hop these days. Um, I do have a pretty diverse library of music that I enjoy, but I am more of a jazz head, disco, funk, R&B, soul, all of that. And most of the music I still gravitate to is based from the 70s. In my opinion, the 1970s and the early 80s. To me, that's the golden age of music. I don't think there's anything better. Like from 1970 to like 1985, right? That 15-year run, every genre of music to me was great. It doesn't matter. It could be rock and roll, a southern rock, country music, uh, jazz, like only hip hop to me in the 90s, that was the best. But all other forms of music. So, yeah, I don't know much about the drill rap scene. I know that in Chicago, it's pretty bad because of the gang affiliations. Um, and in all honesty, New York is it's getting very close to how Chicago is right now. There's gangs everywhere. There's people getting stabbed, shot every day. It's all over the news. The subway, I'm telling you, New York it hasn't been this bad since the 80s during the crack epidemic. I can't wait to retire so I can move. So, some of you guys, if you're from South Carolina, North Carolina, um, I'm looking for a place to after I retire. I just want to buy a nice home and live somewhere where I could live in peace. And I honestly think it doesn't matter where I go, it's going to be an upgrade because the biggest problem with New York and places like Chicago, LA, every big city, it's the population size. It's the size of the population. Anywhere you go where you have a dense population, where you have a high group amount of people in one condensed area, you're going to have crime. You're going to have filth. You're going to have a lot of conflicting cultures, right? And plus the way the economy's going, all the things that are happening, it's bad, man. This is the worst I can remember New York being almost in my lifetime. It was bad in the 70s. It was bad in the 80s. This is this is starting to get there. So yeah, and there's a lot of gangs everywhere. It's crazy, man. But yeah, what is your favorite paint scheme of all time? That's a good question. Trackhouse is killing it. They put out so many great paint schemes this year. Um, that Tootsie paint scheme, I'm really big. That's one of, like, if they painted those wheels white or that shade of violet, man, I would love to see that. But favorite scheme of all time? I don't know, man. I got to think about that. I really have to think about that. There's been some great paint schemes. Um, I don't know, man. I got to think about that. I'm getting ready to get a new PC, like a 3080 card. Yeah, man. I have a 3080 Ti, and I'm happy with it. Everything runs super smooth. I could run everything maxed out. I'm happy with it, and I think it's future proof. So if you can get your hands on that card, I'm sure the price must have gone down by now. I pulled the trigger. I got it. I got a full PC build. Um, yeah, I probably could have saved money if I waited, but you know, when I was getting, like having my the motion simulator, having all these things, wanting to go to triple screen, I wanted an upgrade, and I just said, "Fuck it! If I could get it, I'll get it." And that's what happened. But do you think iRacing will get a true career mode? I can only hope. If they ever get a real career mode, I think that's the point where I will stop caring about the video game side of things because they have the AI. The AI is really good. My big issue with the AI on iRacing is it's erratic. So you can go to one track, you could set it at 100%, and it's really good, right? And then you go to the next race, you set it at 100%, and all of a sudden, it's either too hard or too easy. So every track is different, and you have to play with it. And my suggestion is if you're going to spend time with the AI on iRacing, it's worth it. It's worth it, but you do have to sit there and you do have to run, I would say, depending on the track, 20, 25, 30 laps against the AI. And then you get a sense of how you're running against the AI. Then you could say, okay, it's too easy. Let me jack it up. and you got to do that. It does take a lot of time. It is a lot of work. But once you do that, then you know, okay, at Homestead, I got to set it to like 105. I got to set the slowest cars to like 85, and I know that racing as hard as I can, it's going to be real hard for me to get a top 5, right? And to me, like, okay, that's what you want. You don't want something that's easy. You don't want a guaranteed win. You want something like, if you do win, you feel a sense of accomplishment. But that takes time. And if you do it every single track, you're going to have to spend time and play with the settings. But the AI itself is really good, but it's not perfect. There are tracks sometimes under a green flag pit stop, the cars get all fucking crazy. They'll all try to pit. There will be a log jam sometimes for several laps before they clear up. It's not perfect, and I also think it's because iRacing is an online racing service. They spend most of their time and effort on the online. So whatever they're doing for the AI, it's just piecemealing it. They're not really super hardcore jumping in and saying, let's fucking go all in and focus on that. That's not why people get iRacing. So I understand. But man, I do think that enough time goes by. I do think that they'll continue tweaking it. And maybe, who knows? Like what I want, I would love a career mode, at least have a page where you get full point stats, you could set up a schedule, and you get a little bit of presentation, right? Like pre-race, post-race. Like right now, the only presentation you get is after the race, a news article. It's almost like something you would expect to see from the PlayStation 2 era. It's just a newspaper article. It'll say, you know, Jose Palenko got a top 5 at Homestead, and he's 26 in the points, and that's it. So I want to see more than that. But man, I would love to see a fleshed out career mode on iRacing. It would be game over. I wouldn't really have a reason to want a console developed NASCAR game. So that I would love that. All right, look, I'm going to continue to read some questions. Um, this stream is 2 hours long. I didn't think I'd be on here this long. So don't get. I hope you guys are okay that at some point I am gonna have to cut it. I have some things I have to go check. I am at work, uh, so I got to be a little bit responsible. Um, and then you guys can, let me know what you think. What you like, what you don't like about the stream, and maybe what you'd like to see moving ahead. All right, look. Uh, yeah, I would be here all night. I can't do all these. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about yesterday's race. So I don't want to try to. I honestly I didn't expect these many questions and stuff like that. So this is a good thing, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm going to talk a little bit about yesterday's race and something that I noticed on Twitter. Now, Twitter's a cesspool of garbage, but it does gauge what a lot of people are thinking, what the mindset of fans. And I noticed a lot of people, they thought yesterday's race was not good, it was boring, whatever, because one guy dominated. So I just want to say that the entire history of NASCAR, we've always had races that were dominated by one or two people. That's not a new thing. I see people blaming this car. I see people blaming all kinds of stuff. Um, it's not a new thing. It's not ever since Bill France introduced the sport. we have had races that were dominated. We've seen races where the winner laps almost the whole field. That stuff has happened. It's happened since the beginning. So this is not a new thing. And people are acting like, oh my God, because of this new car. And I've seen people post this stuff. Um, you're gonna have races that the leader checks out. They nail the setup. They have one of the best cars. That's sports. This is the only sport where I see the fan base constantly complaining to NASCAR or to the sanctioning body of the sport that they want every single sporting event to be a nail biter, to be close from beginning to end, and to end in an exciting, unpredictable fashion. That's not how sports works. Sports are not supposed to be predictable. And I think NASCAR has been catering to a lot of these fans with short attention spans who they don't like when these cars spread out and they don't understand this is real racing. Some cars are going to be, they're going to catch the setup, other guys don't. Um, that's racing, that's sports. Imagine NFL fans or baseball fans or basketball fans demanding that every game has to be a very close game or a tie to the end. And then, like extra innings or 2 minute warning, then somebody just wins. Like, do whatever you have to do to guarantee that there's no blowout. That would be ridiculous, right? Nobody does that in any other sport. But in NASCAR, you always see this. And NASCAR has catered to these kind of fans with promoting pack racing for the past almost 10 years. And you saw how that worked out. But now we're seeing back this, to me, we've seen a lot of old school type racing. That race yesterday was very old school. Very old school. So I enjoyed it. Now, the one thing that I think would help, 1 second. Hello, engineers. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Aquí viendo la televisión. ¿Y tú? Mm. Oh. Ah. Oh. Mm. 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 Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. 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 No, la novela. Mm. Ok, yo te llamo ahorita. Ok, te quiero. I'm still here. All right, that was a personal call. So I hope you guys didn't hang up. Anyway, where was I? Um, all right. Yeah, so to me, it was old school racing. I enjoyed it. What can NASCAR? I think the broadcast, what they need to do is show more of what's going on in the rest of the field. You got 40 cars on the track. There's always action. So even if the leader checks out, there's other shit going on in the track. And I don't think the broadcast does a good enough job of showing these other battles. Anybody who goes to a live race will tell you there's always something going on once you look around the track. So the broadcast can do a better job so that people don't feel like I'm just sitting here watching a race and there's nobody catching the leader. So those are my thoughts on that. Also, that spin out by Blaney, I don't think NASCAR should have called a caution on that. I was not happy about that. Um, they still call cautions at odd moments. Like sometimes, a guy even on the track, a tire will go down and they can get off. NASCAR doesn't call a caution. Then other times it's like, oh, this guy spins out, but he's off the track. Caution. It's I don't know, man. To me, that wasn't a caution. So I enjoyed the race. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. It just gets annoying watching people complain. Uh, that was it was a really solid race. So yeah. Let me see if there's anything interesting. Hmm. All right, somebody says South Carolina is cool. I live here. Yeah. I've been there. I've been to Columbia or Columbus. I think it's Columbus. Um, yeah, it seems nice. Uh, man, I want to get out of here. So, uh, yeah, I retire in 4 years, and that's what I want. I just want to go buy a house, sell my house here, and get out. I just can't do this anymore. And I've been here all my life, so it doesn't. There was a time I thought I'd be here forever, but it's nah. Disco Inferno live stream, no way. Keep it up. Thank you very much. Great first stream. All right, guys, look, it's just over 2 hours. This went on longer than I thought. If you guys have any thoughts on the live stream, positive, negative, what you would like to see, if I do this again, if I do, I'm not sure when. Um, I don't want to promise like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this again this date or every Monday night. But if I do it again, it might be around on a Monday night. Usually things are pretty quiet here, and unless something pops up here and I gotta stop the live stream and go do my job, I think I could probably do it. But it's definitely not going to be something I do on a consistent basis. I might do it again from time to time. Um, Thank you for showing up and listening to me blab away. So I appreciate it. Yeah, I look forward to your comments, and I hope you guys are doing well, and have a good one. Later.